originally planned on releasing this video on N7 Day, and for those of you who are big fans of Mass Effect, you will all know that N7 Day is known as Mass Effect Day, and clearly, according to today's date, I am 11 days past N7 Day, so I do apologize that I didn't get this video out in timely fashion. However, I've been wanting to make this video now for quite some time. If you remember correctly from a video that I did last year, I did mention that I was going to be covering the games leading up to N7 Day, and the actual original plan was that I was going to be covering Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 leading up to N7 Day, but once again, I have missed that day. So instead, what I decided to do is that I was going to make a video, this particular video, and me discussing why I firmly believe that the Mass Effect trilogy is one of the best trilogies in gaming, despite the ending for Mass Effect 3, to which I'm going to save that, as y'all can imagine, for much later on. I'm going to basically be talking about not only the games, my personal history with the games, how I was first introduced to Mass Effect, and essentially cover the Mass Effect games without essentially reviewing them, but I'm still going to be talking about, I'm going to be gushing about why I love these games. So let's get started, guys. Back in 2008, I believe that's when Mass Effect was released. Give me 1 second. Oh my god, this came out in 2007. Fuck, I feel old. The very first time that I heard about Mass Effect back in 2007 wasn't from a review. It was actually from a news story by Fox News. Remember that specific time, guys? Fox News did this insane news story in which they had claimed that the romance sequence in Mass Effect 1 had contained a fully graphic nude scene, a fully graphic sex scene that was fully interactive, and you literally saw everything, like full graphic nudity, fully interactive sex. Like, they claimed like this and then some. Jeff Keighley came on to the whole thing and it was saying, guys, what the hell are you all talking about? This is absolutely incorrect. The scene itself is maybe 2 minutes long, and the most of nudity that you do see is the side of an alien boob. The Fox News story I thought was absolutely hilarious, and I remember seeing footage of the game, and I was thinking, holy crap, I have to play this now. I had talked to my mom into letting me rent the game from Blockbuster, and I was just sold on this game from the opening cutscene period. Mass Effect 1 blew me away when I first played this game. The fact that you could play this essentially choose your own story sci-fi space opera of Commander Shepard, where you're either a male or a female, and you could just play this epic story of whether you were a war hero, a ruthless asshole, or some type of neutral person. The whole Paragon renegade thing, the whole introduction to this world of the Citadel, meeting the Krogans, meeting Rex, meeting Garrus, Ashley. Oh, and by the way, before I continue on and say anything else, this is the best way that I could describe the Mass Effect trilogy, at least to me. The Mass Effect trilogy to me is essentially the Dark Knight trilogy, but for sci-fi video games. Mass Effect 1 was this big, epic space odyssey game in which you not only got to form relationships with characters, you're fighting against the Reaper, specifically with Sovereign, you're fighting against Saren, getting to be a Spectre. I was trying to get their name right. And if I remember this correctly, when I first rented Mass Effect, I just dove into this game, and the weekend I played this game, I did not do anything else but play Mass Effect. Like, I was that much into this game. Everything about this game, despite its bumps in the road, I absolutely love the first Mass Effect game. It is just simply put, as far as the first game in a trilogy goes, Mass Effect 1 was the game in which Casey Hudson and BioWare were saying, okay, this is going to be their first game of the series. We're going to start laying out the groundwork, but we can guarantee that in Mass Effect 2, things are going to be, in the words of Clint Blazinski, bigger, better, and more badass. Before I continue on the rest of the video, my first question to you guys, and that is this. In each of the games, who were your primary squad members? For me personally, there was always one person that I always took on a mission with me, no matter what, and that is Garrus. Garrus to me was like my brother in arms. He was essentially like the best way I can describe my relationship to Garrus or Commander Shepard's relationship to Garrus, at least for me. Commander Shepard and Garrus are essentially like Marcus and Dom and Gears of War. That is the best way I can describe the relationship because, man, I gotta tell you guys right now, Garrus's dialogue conversation with Shepard not only formed this great friendship, this great brotherhood, but when things came to it, especially in Mass Effect 3, there are just certain things I remember saying, going like, okay, if anyone's gonna make it out alive, please let it be Garrus because I love that dude to death. Mass Effect 1 is a game that I do love, but like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I do have some issues with the game. First of which being this, and that is the AI, especially when it comes down to your teammates' AI. Your squad AI in Mass Effect 1 is, I wouldn't say it's Dom AI in Gears of War 1, but I will say this, the AI in Mass Effect 1 just is not that smart. There would be plenty of times when a battle would start out and they would just rush out and not get into cover, and more than the majority of the time, I would have to use Unity to restore my squad members, and this happened so many times it's not even funny. The second issue I have with the game was the overloading aspect with the guns, because here's the thing, Mass Effect 1 didn't have ammo. Your guns actually had infinite ammo, but at the cost of the guns actually overheating, and while I love the idea of infinite ammo at first, the overheating aspect of Mass Effect 1, I thought really dumbed down, and it just really disrupted the pace of the moment-to-moment gameplay within the gunplay, within the combat. The sprinting mechanic in Mass Effect 1 I thought was absolutely useless. You could literally sprint for only a couple of seconds before Shepard would just go I'm telling you, it was bad. One more thing that I gotta talk about, and that's the controls for the Mako, the vehicle that you would control in some aspects of Mass Effect 1. Controlling the Mako or the Mako was a pain in the fucking ass. I hated controlling that thing so much, and it really does a great job of introducing you into this big, epic sci-fi world, and how the things end except for Mass Effect 2 is just great. And by the way, really quick, for those of you wondering, I would give Mass Effect 1, I would say an 8 out of 10. Mass Effect 1 is an excellent game, but those issues that I do have with the game unfortunately do hold it back from being an even greater game, from a phenomenal game. Now guys, going on to Mass Effect 2, y'all want to talk about a game that in every sense of the word is a better game than the first game, and is a game that exceeds on every single front possible. Mass Effect 2 is, at least to me, one of the dark nights of video gaming. Like, it is legitimately a masterpiece of video gaming. The intro of Mass Effect 2 is one of the greatest introductions to a video game I've ever played, because it starts you off just, day in the life in the Normandy, I guess, and then out of nowhere, you're being attacked, followed by one of the coolest moments, followed by a jaw dropper, to which I'm going to show you guys right here.
Commander! Shepard!
When I saw that moment in Mass Effect 2 upon first playing this game, my jaw dropped and I just went, whoa. Walking through that part of the Normandy that was blown apart and walking through space to Joker going like, dude, get out of here, only for you to be blown away and actually die before Cerberus rebuilds you. That whole introduction is seriously one of the greatest openings I've ever played. And replaying it, by the way, the Legendary Edition with the updated graphics, oh my god. Mass Effect 2 is a bigger, better, and a more badass game in every single sense of the word. Whether it comes down to the storytelling, the combat, the gameplay, the graphics, the musical score, oh my god, the musical score in Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite musical scores in the video game. I actually want to go back to Mass Effect 1 really quick because there was a thing that I think Mass Effect 1 could have done, but Mass Effect 2 introduces, and that is further exploration of space. I don't know if you guys were like me when you first started on Mass Effect 1, but when I first started playing the game, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know where the hell I was going, even though they clearly explained to you where you should go, but I wasn't paying attention whatsoever. So literally, I spent like, what, 20-30 minutes just exploring planets and reading everything down just to see what the planets looked like, the gases and the history of the planets, and I wished that you could do things. Now going back into Mass Effect 2, some of that Mass Effect 2 does that I loved, that I actually spent way more time doing this than I expected, and that was not only scanning planets, but launching probes in the planets and getting resources for the upgrades for not only the Normandy, but also the weapons and also your teammates. I absolutely loved this add-on to Mass Effect 2, and to me, it added on so much more enjoyable gameplay, especially to, like I just mentioned y'all earlier, the space exploration element of Mass Effect 2. Upgrade every single thing that you possibly can, because the more you upgrade your stuff and as you do more loyalty missions, especially with everybody, you will save everybody, except if you do one wrong choice, which mainly I did do, which I'm going to get on to later on once we get to the suicide mission. The relationships and the friendships of Mass Effect 2, I thought, were not only better and deeper, but they made the game especially that much more of an emotionally investing game, especially when it comes on to the events of Mass Effect 3. Something in particular that Mass Effect 2 does even better than the first Mass Effect are the characters in Mass Effect 2. Like, for example, not only do you have Garrus and Tali coming back, you do come across Rex again, but you also have characters like Jack, not to mention you have Thane, you also, I believe, have Liara as well, you also have Samara, you have Grunt, you have this huge cast of characters, and along with it, not to mention as well, Zaid the mercenary, who is actually a DLC character, and you have Legion. I did not expect to love Legion, but man, Legion was fucking awesome. But there's just something about how the characters are fully developed in Mass Effect 2 that made me secure an even stronger bond with these characters, especially when it came down to the end game, the suicide mission going into the collector's base. Oh, and by the way, the elusive man, fuck you. That's all I'm going to say about that. While there may be some aspects of my Mass Effect 2, especially in today's day and age, that might seem dated by some people, then again, I don't know people that find this game to be dated at all. But Mass Effect 2 is just a masterpiece of a video game, and if I were to rate Mass Effect 2 for me is easily an 11 out of 10. It's one of my favorite games of all time. When I was replaying it in preparation for this video, I spent so much time on this game, making sure to do every single little thing to make sure that, by the way, I know I just gave my rating, but I wanted to put the suicide mission because, man, the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2 where you go to the collector's base is, for me, one of the greatest finales in a video game, because every little decision that you make in this mission determines, especially if you did the loyalty missions, if your crew will die. And unfortunately for me, during the mission, one character died who I grew actually attached to pretty quickly, and that was Legion. Rest in peace, Legion. I only knew that character for a couple of hours, but Legion Ageth, that actually was feeling bad about what species had done. I wish I had chosen someone else as the fire team leader. I had chosen Zaid instead. I felt, oh my god, I actually almost screamed when Legion died. To the writing of Mass Effect 2, I cannot talk enough great things about the writing of Mass Effect 2, especially when it comes down to the characters, the dialogue, the relationships. It's just a brilliantly written game. I cannot say good things enough about the end, but everything about Mass Effect 2 for that matter. I could gush about my love for this game. I'm getting emotional on just talking about it because I love Mass Effect 2 that much. But yeah, Mass Effect 2 for me, like I mentioned, y'all, is an 11 out of 10 game. I love this game so much. It is easily my top 20 favorite games of all time, and it does set up for one banger of a finale and going into Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 1 is like Batman Begins, an excellent first game that while I do love, it does have some bumps on the road that hold it being back from being even greater. Mass Effect 2 is like The Dark Knight, a sequel that improves upon every single thing possible and not only has a great beginning, but an epic and amazing conclusion that sets up for what could be a great finale. And then guys, we go on to Mass Effect 3, which I describe as The Dark Knight Rises, but there is one thing that Dark Knight Rises does better than Mass Effect 3, and that is the thing to which I'm going to save for the latter part of this video. Mass Effect 3 starts off with such a huge bang, and to some extent, there are some ways that Mass Effect 3's beginning is actually better than Mass Effect 2 because of one specific reason. There is a particular moment in the intro of Mass Effect 3 that blew my mind when I first played this game. When you and Admiral Anderson are running across Earth and a Reaper ship lands down, just burning everything in sight. And I love the fact that, by the way, this moment had no music. It was just sound effects. The beginning of Mass Effect 3 is just a jaw-dropping beginning, but I will still say that the beginning of Mass Effect 2 gets the edge because of how unforgettable it is. But with that being said, the beginning of Mass Effect 3 is still an absolute banger beginning. Another thing that I noticed right away that I loved even more about Mass Effect 3 was actually the sound design of everything, in particular with the guns and the impact of the guns and how they all felt. Hearing the guns firing up and hearing the impacts, especially when you get those headshots to the sniper rifle that would blow the fucking heads off. Oh my god. Another particular aspect that I loved about Mass Effect 3 was how much of an emotional roller coaster that Mass Effect 3 is. Mass Effect 3 is a game that will put you through it, man. I mean, oh my god. Mass Effect 3 takes your emotions and puts them through a blender because you will go through it, man. Like, I'm telling you all, there are so many moments in Mass Effect 3 where I was either cheering because of something epic happening, like in particular, one of my favorite missions in Mass Effect 3 is, oh my god, it's when you're using in the Krogan's homeworld to take down a Reaper. There is a moment where essentially you use these devices to bring these creatures out from the sand and take down a Reaper. It reminded me of Dune. I love that moment so much it made me go like, fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! I gotta tell you about a moment in Mass Effect 3 that legitimately had me shocked, and I was actually sad. Like, I had to pause the game for a few moments because I was genuinely shocked, and I was damn near close to crying. There is a particular mission in the game where you have what you call as the new Legionella Tally, and it's essentially what the Geth is trying to take control of a Reaper that was just brought down by Commander Ship. And by the way, this particular section of the game essentially put me through 3 stages. Unfortunately, in this sequence, I lost a member of my party that really did just shocked me, and I was sad. I lost Tally in this scene. It fucking broke me, guys. Like, I was on the verge of crying like a baby. I did not think I was gonna lose Tally. This particular mission I absolutely loved, but by the end of this mission, I essentially went through 3 stages. The first stage was this. And then this stage. And then I essentially was doing this.
You're gonna have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up.
Why did that thing have to fucking happen in the first place? And that's just one of the many examples of how much of a roller coaster of emotions that Mass Effect 3 puts on, because the storytelling of Mass Effect 3 until the ending is genuinely brilliant. And had things had continued on the way I thought they had continued on, Mass Effect 3 would have been my game of the year that year. One of my biggest complaints with Mass Effect 3, and this might be a me thing, but for some reason, and Mass Effect 3, they decided to get rid of the hacking mini games. I don't know whether they the bypassing games where you had to match the certain symbols, or you had to do certain things in order to progress further in the game, like bypassing the security checks. For me, those sections were really, really enjoyable, and seeing Shepard doing this and this and this, I miss the hacking mini games. The ending of the game, it still rubs me the wrong way. I don't hate it like I did when I first played Mass Effect 3, as I get it more so to a certain extent, but there is some bits of Mass Effect 3's ending that just don't sit right with me, and I'll explain that a little bit. Mass Effect 3 is an epic third game that takes you on a moral roller coaster with such a great story. And by the way, play the DLCs for Mass Effect 2, in particular the Leviathan DLC, which is it's fucking amazing. And also the Citadel DLC, which the Citadel DLC, I originally thought was just there to add on, runtime for the game. But when I got to the end of the Citadel DLC, it's more like a love letter to the characters of Mass Effect 3 and just the Mass Effect characters, period. I cannot believe I forgot to mention this earlier. You all remember that Jessica Chobot was in this game? Yeah, Jessica Chobot is in this game. Jessica Chobot is in this game as a news reporter. Fun fact, because she was a news reporter, and she's in it just to interview Shepard a couple of times throughout the game. Nothing particularly huge, and she is a war asset, to which that's the next thing I'll talk about. There is something in particular that kind of irked me when it came down to the military assets. In my most recent playthrough of Mass Effect 3, I did pretty much every single mission that I possibly could, whether it's the main missions, the priority missions, the side quests, even doing the DLC missions. I even did the Leviathan DLC, in which you get a creature that is literally the weapon to go against the Reapers. And by the way, the Leviathan is only used one time in the DLC. The Leviathan doesn't ever come into play ever again during that final mission, as far as I remember. It's only used one time, to be fair, doing a pretty badass moment. But that Leviathan doesn't show up again, which I just thought, what the fuck was the point of all that? Seriously, the Leviathan might as well be fucking Cthulhu at that point, but unfortunately, Leviathan only does its thing one time in Mass Effect 3. I just wish that if you went through all that effort to get the Leviathan, they know the Leviathan would be of more use to, but that's besides the point. And now we come on to the ending of Mass Effect 3, to which I have some thoughts to say. When I originally beat Mass Effect 3, I did not like the ending of Mass Effect 3. I thought it was a waste of time, and it made me think that my entire time playing this whole trilogy was for nothing. Now that I've beaten Mass Effect 3 twice, and I've gone through the entire trilogy, I do like the ending a bit more, but there are just things about the ending that just, irk me, and that is because of one particular reason. The whole Mass Effect trilogy is a choose-your-adventure story, and each choice that you make has an outcome, whether it's small or big. And I was thinking that because of all the decisions that I made throughout the trilogy, at the ending of Mass Effect 3 was going to be this big, grandiose, epic ending that just, was satisfying, especially if it had a Paragon ending. You're given basically 3 choices that not only couldn't be more basic, but the ending choices made you feel, or at least it made me feel, that what I did throughout this trilogy didn't really add up so much. Seeing that your squad survived, that made me happy, and seeing that my boy Garrus survived, which, by the way, I gotta mention this really quick. I absolutely love Garrus, and there is a moment in Mass Effect 3 that just, oh, I'm just tearing up thinking about it. When you're about to get into the beam and the Reapers are just obliterating you and Garrus gets injured, and I was scared just for Garrus until Shepard says, get an evac right now, and Garrus says, no, we do this together. I am not going this without you. And Shepard says, I have to know that one of us made it out of here alive. And then Garrus says, well, you better get out of it too, because we got somewhere to be, man, after this.
Here, take him. Shepard, you gotta get out of here. And you've gotta be kidding me. Don't argue, Garrus. We're in this to the end. I need to know somebody's getting out of this alive. Just make damn sure that includes you two. Even if I am the better shot. Always. Take care, Garrus.
Garrus to me as a brother, I loved playing with Garrus. He was such a great squad mate, such a great companion, such a great friend. Garrus for the win. I did the destroy ending because to me, I didn't want to do anything else but destroy the Reapers the entire time. And sure, unfortunately, while it does get rid of EDI and all of the Geth, I personally feel that the Geth and EDI would have understood that this was for the greater good. The destroy ending just felt like the Shepard ending. It felt like the most canonical ending of Mass Effect 3. BioWare really made something absolutely special. They really made something that is just a god tier trilogy, even if the ending, I don't think it's the greatest ending. The Mass Effect trilogy, whether it's the storytelling, the gameplay, the combat, the graphics, the music, the characters, just everything about this trilogy, if you'd ask me, is a god tier trilogy. And for everything that I just said in this video, that was just me rambling on and me gushing about why I love this trilogy. The Mass Effect trilogy to me is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. There are some kinks in the first game, and there are some bums, especially with the ending of Mass Effect 3. But when I look at this trilogy as an overall package, what this thing offers as far as an emotional story with engaging combat, great characters, an incredible musical score, and leading up to an ending that sure, while it may not be the most satisfying ending, the journey to getting there is one of the best journeys that I've experienced in a video game. The Mass Effect trilogy is a sci-fi masterpiece. I love this trilogy. Enough said. I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts on the Mass Effect trilogy as to why I believe it's one of the greatest trilogies of all time. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next reviewer video goes live, I will see you all next time.